Hello, my name is Wallace. I am a vampire, um, smoking nicotine, um, tired. It is late at night. I have been working and honestly don't know where the day went. It's like suddenly it's like 10 o'clock at night, and I don't really feel like. I think I took a nap, fell asleep. I think. But like I fell asleep, and what I want to talk about is that I had a nightmare. But I had a nightmare where it felt like, if you ever had a dream that felt like it wasn't just a dream. I rarely have dreams. Like if any, I don't dream, except when I have dreams and they're very complex. So it's like, I don't want to talk about like I know about like prophecies, or like you ever have like dreams that may, but I think there's a significance to talking about them if they are impactful and interesting, you know. So, in my dream, it was an interesting dream. It's definitely a vampire themed dream, so it's definitely appropriate. In my dream, it was really scary, but not too scary. Like I wasn't afraid, but I was like, yeah, this is definitely a nightmare of some sort. Like you ever like in a dream, but you're like, well, like I'm aware. It was interesting because I was I could feel like I could transform in the dream, but I felt locked down. Like part of my brain was like paralyzed. Like I was aware, but I could feel my brain was asleep. Um, and I felt like I was. Um, it's like a lucid. I think they call it a lucid dream, to where you can make choices. It's one of those. And yeah, there was another vampire, um, one that I did not recognize, but one that was very aggressive towards me. He even kind of looked like me. I mean, in a way, he had long hair and a beard, and he was light skinned, but I didn't recognize him. But anyways, it was like I was walking it's like in a video store or like a bowling alley or something like that. You know how they're kind of arranged, just like a desk, and there's this guy, and this guy's like looks at me, and it's just like we do not get along. And next thing I know, I'm like kind of seeing things through this guy's eyes, and he's like being like this. Wasn't necessarily doing anything like bad, but he was just like using his vampire abilities. I could feel like I had abilities on me being used against me. So at one point, the dream changes, and it's like I'm in my room, the same room that I was sleeping in, but the room was like, it's really interesting. It's like a. Have you ever seen like there's Stranger Things? If you've seen the series on Netflix, there's like an underworld where it's like the same world, but it's like a nightmare landscape, and it's just like really weird and twisted. And it's like, well, that's what it was. I was in my room, but it was weird and twisted. It was like it was on the in the like an underworld of my room, and like I could in my room, I kept trying to wake up, or in a way try to wake up and try to move around, but I was stuck. And in the room there was like these um, floating, um, nightmarish looking edge objects. Like, so it's like almost like there's like a ward, if you will. Like, okay, again, this is a dream, so bear with me. So it's like a magic ward, basically. And I'm stuck there. I'm afraid, and I keep going from seeing this. my room like this, to seeing to switching over and seeing through this vampire's eyes, and he's like doing things right. It's like he's like, I'll just say it. He's like having sex, and he's like whatever. I have no idea. This is a dream. Okay. Okay. And I keep so it's like switching back and forth, and I keep seeing my room, and at one point, I felt the sensation of like I felt this fear. I felt like this fear and this like darkness and this like suppression. It was like to me, it was like magic, but it was a feeling that I could kind of identify by the parts of it. But what was strange to me was that I don't feel that. Like ever since I've become an adult and since very very long time ago, before I became a vampire, I never had that. So it was like I was feeling a new sensation, like a of what I perceived as like a vampire, like pressuring me, like just be like it was weird. I was in fear of this other vampire. It's one in my dream. And at one point, I'm kind of playing along. I could kind of, I'm kind of still, like I said, it's a lucid dream, so I can still kind of like, have some control. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not gonna wake up yet. Like I feel like I could overcome this pressure that I'm feeling to not wake up. But then, I felt like I had the ability to get out of it. Um, yeah, that was pretty much a dream. Then eventually, I think I just, you know, got out of it. But like, I don't even remember falling asleep. It's really weird. I was just playing video games. The next thing I know, I'm asleep. And the next thing I know, I'm having this nightmare. And then I'm awake. And I have this like new sensation of this like ability, like fear ability that was used on me. And it was like fear, but it was like a dominating fear where I'm just like, it's weird. And you know, I don't feel like when people try to pressure me, like spiritually or like energy wise, human wise, when people try to pressure me, it's like nothing to me. Um, I feel other people's anger and other people's like energy, if you will, like when people like want to be left alone, you kind of feel it. But I don't, nowadays, now that I'm older and I'm experienced, and I got leadership skills, and I've grown as a vampire. You try to pressure me, and it would take the amount. I would have to be very, and this is part of the reason why I think people like consider me like almost like a superhero in a sense. It's the fact that you try to pressure me, and it takes a lot, and they would have to be, I would have to be like out of it, like like really out of. Talk about how like vampirism and like leadership and stuff like that is like you have fuel gauges, like you have energy gauges, if you will. That's how I see it. I'd have to be completely like depleted of energy in both of those, which I don't do for safety. Just getting around. I'll never do that. And in order to feel the way I did in that dream, where I'm just feel like I'm completely like defeated in a way. So it was it was a weird dream that made me think. Um, so yeah, kind of want to talk about that, and I've been another thing I want to talk about is that recently, I looked up, I did a online search about the effects of love sickness. When a person feels love sick, and the effects on the body and some of the chemicals in the brain that are released when someone's falling in love or has fallen in love. And I'm like, man, is this part of the reason why I'm feeling sick all the time? Or recently, more so? I think it's absolutely true. Being lovesick. I joke around with it, but I'm like serious. It's a different kind of lovesick for me, but it's still like I feel like, why do I feel sick? I don't really feel depressed. I mean, I can if I explore, look inside myself. I'm like, yeah, there's some depression there, but I don't really. I'm able to block it out. If I do have it, uh, I typically like right now when I may have some depression. I may be in like kind of like a negative, struggling, suffering type mindset. Technically, I would say technically it's that, but I'm not like it's not in. I don't feel like it's impeding me. And the question I want to ask myself is like, is it impeding me? And you know, even though I'm saying it's not, it's like I realize that like, well, why is it that I have to turn into a vampire, or you know, you become use the leadership part of my mind to do things or consider doing things. It's like I have to like if I was like in the talking about like superhero movies or whatever, how they like change into like higher forms or whatever. Um, why is it that I have to do that in order to not feel uh, stuck? And when I get home, I just want to, I don't really, I relax. I'm just like my regular dude form, and I just go numb. It's like all the overwhelming things. I don't use my brain. It's just like all the overwhelming feeling. It's like I've learned to train myself. I'm like, okay, well, right now I can't really do crap, but I know that if I wanted to, I could, you know, if I was to become a vampire. But it's interesting. I mean, I have to ask myself, like, could I live my life the way I am if I wasn't a vampire? And I think the answer is absolutely no, absolutely not. I wouldn't be able to handle the overwhelming uh, feelings and the love sickness and the. I don't think I'd be able. The depression would start to build more and more. So, so yeah, just talking about it makes me feel. I can feel it inside, but part of me feels like it's not fair. Like, and part of me just wants to complain because I don't know why, but it feels like you know somehow it makes me feel a little bit better. I was like, what? It's not fair that I have to hold all of that burden, all of those things. But the thing is, I'm an adult. I'm more and more adult every day. It feels like, and life is just happening, and part of me, which is my brain that I've had since I was born on this planet. It still has memories of my childhood and my upbringing. So I'm like, man, this isn't fair. I want to go, have fun, and I want to do this. You know, wanna, why can't I do that anymore? You know, but I think everybody feels that way. So I mean, I'm slowly losing that. Like I realize I'm losing those memories or the how my brain is wired to um, think about those younger days. I'm losing that. It makes me. It's a feeling. It's definitely a feeling. I'm sure there's a word for it, but I want to say nostalgia, but it's like a loss of feeling of loss, which part of me is like grateful because I don't want to be making decisions based off of the past and what I'm not anymore. But and what makes this interesting is the fact that I'm a vampire. And I heard today there's somebody, I won't say where, I won't say who, but there was somebody at a place I frequent that started talking about. They're just kind of joking around, and I could hear them. They're kind of and they start talking about a person who is in a like a story or whatever of a girl who never ages. And I could kind of feel, it made me think about vampirism and you know, how vampires are considered immortal. Immortal, can't even say it. So, am I immortal? No. I think that means, you can't die or you can't age. I think that's what they said. They're like, it's a girl who can't age in the story. I can definitely age, I believe. It's the use of vampirism and magic to change the way I look or to maintain my body in certain ways. There's obviously limits to that. I don't know. I don't really know. I just know that I only know what I know, basically. What I, but obviously, and it is really weird. Like if I had to explain, like recently, another thing, like I was speaking to this girl that I think is cool, and she mentioned about like uh, getting some artwork done. We talked about art. She's like, go check out my Instagram, and I got her Instagram information, but I lost it. um, Not intentionally, but also, I've obviously been going through a lot the last couple days, last couple years. Anyways, um, and I have an Instagram, and I looked at the Instagram, and I could just see a picture of me and the profile picture, and I didn't have to, didn't want to look at the older pictures of me because I look the same. You know, five, it was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and pictures are of me mostly in vampire form in one way or another, and it's like I look the same, and like to me, I don't want to see that because it creeps me out. Like there's a part of me inside that there's definitely a part of me inside that can't explain that that expects to see um, or something. Like when you see something, you expect to see. Like it's like a instinctual thing. Like I'm supposed to be different, but the fact that I'm a vampire, um, how I look, yeah, it makes that part of me inside uh, have a feeling that's like having your skin crawl, you know, and it's a feeling of disgust. It's weird. So like I see a, see myself and I feel I don't want to see myself because I know if I look, I feel a weird type of disgust of something unnatural. It's a weird thing. I don't know if it's a vampire thing. Obviously, some people see me and they may or may not feel disgust. I know that's a thing. Uh, but my own feeling of it in this, um, I think is maybe unique. So, so yeah, I'm really taking it easy as far as I've got projects and stuff I like to do, or maybe I don't want to do. I just saw myself just kind of like wince. Yeah, but the reality is that I know I'm strong enough to do them and get over the barriers to do them. But there has always been a part of me that I feel like is my own, something that says, of my own uh, soul. I would say like something integral to me, and I don't. Maybe it's one of those things that is related to my upbringing in my younger days that I am slowly losing. Maybe it's tied to that. Maybe I feel like that's why it's so integral. It may not be a good thing, but I feel it's a thing that's really integral to me that says, just take it slow. There's no rush. You don't have to do this. And then some, you hear bad stories. I hear things, and I feel motivated to like, gotta do greater things. Gotta do greater things. But then I feel just like, no, no, maybe not yet, maybe not ever. But it's weird. And then part of me would always go searching for like in the past. I feel that I go searching for an answer. Something like there's got to be an answer, you know. But what I've learned and what I've been doing recently is like the answer. Well, for one, there could be an answer. Something solution. There could be a solution. I could be a part of the solution. Other people could be part of the solution. That's more of what my thinking is nowadays. When I start to feel that, and I feel, kind of spiral a little bit. I'm like, well, other people, other people do things. Other people are in my life. Other people want to do things with me, for me, and I want to do other things. The same as that feeling that I want to do things with people, for people. So, part of me feels. I definitely look at the. This is something that is kind of new to me, and it involves these therapy videos and having to open up. I don't say I have to, but I've realized that I had to, um, and it's not trusting other people. It's not that I do trust other people definitely, but I don't know why it's hard for me to say. It's still hard for me to say that, but I do. Um, but it's allowing people to do things for me. And I'm not talking about like, again, not bad things, but just things. Part of me, it's definitely related to guilt. I do have trauma from being in the military. I was in the military for only 8 months. There's a couple bad incidents, not tragic, but incidents that were, one of which that I should probably talk about right now, involved, basic training. Basic training. Long story short, it was an exercise, and it was nighttime. We were, in a barracks full of dudes. I'm talking. I'm not trying to sugarcoat the story, but I'm just trying to keep it, you know, light, so to speak. And There's a drill instructor, and I was on guard, guard duty or whatever. It's just an exercise. The guy, drill instructor, knocks on the door, says, "Well, let me in." He didn't say it that way, but pretty much. I said, "No, I can't do that." says, Wally, let me in. And he's getting madder and madder. I look around. There's a guy standing next to me. I'm like, no, we can't do it. You're not authorized to be in here. It was a drill. It was the drill instructor. And I knew he was testing me. Obviously. And I'm looking around. Just getting confirmation from my buddies. And at one point, he says, Wally, this is an emergency, or something along those lines. He's like, let me in. So I look at the guy beside me, and the guy's like, dude, I'm like, all right. I let the guy in. I let the drill instructor in. And I'm going to pause the story for a second. So the reason why I bring up this story is that I felt this story has allowing it has to do with guilt. It has to do with guilt. It has to do with seeing other people. It has to do with seeing other people suffer because of them trying to do something for me. Trying to do something with me or something for me, and me letting them down. So I'll go ahead and just stop the story there before it gets, trying to decide whether or not to continue the story. Maybe another time. But so yeah, back to what I was saying originally. It's one of those situations I feel like that I need to make an excuse for myself. And you know how people say don't make excuses. I feel like there are times when, of course, there are times when excuses, reasons are valid. Um, so to say I have a problem or um, or something that I am unable to fix. Because of reasons beyond my control. That is, it is, it is the truth. So, all right, y'all. Uh, I feel like my feelings right now are just like all I want to do is just like run away. It's weird. It's like I just want to run. I don't know where to or why, but it's just a feeling. Obviously, I'm just like it's like when you've had enough, you're just like I just. It's funny though. It's like it's a younger uh, me feeling where you get scared, you get stuck, try to run away, and it's weird that I'm feeling it right now because it doesn't like I feel it, but it doesn't make sense to me. The feeling is like uh, something that my brain is laughing at because it's like, well, I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. Right? It's like it doesn't. It's funny. And obviously, I avoid situations, and I'm an adult. But that particular feeling of when that event happened that I was describing, um, that feeling, it doesn't make sense to, to have. So maybe just talking about it has brought up that feeling and the awareness of it. So that's good. That's therapy. Yeah, but I might step outside, get some air, smoke. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video there. And, spreading positive awareness for vampires, therapy for people, all people. And, just helping myself and hopefully also, if not right now, more so later on in the future, helping others. So, yeah. All right, y'all. Have a good night. And I want to say something witty, but so y'all have a good night.